We welcome Mr. Shekhar Singh, Municipal Commissioner, PCMC. And now we begin MCCI Sustainability Dialogue, which industry leaders and sustainability experts to share insights and engage in a dialogue on pivotal sustainability topics. To take the discussion forward, I invite Mr. Pradeep Bhargava, past President MCCI, to set the context.
Good evening, Shekhar, Siddharth, friends, very familiar faces. So, fag end of the day, long day, I'll try and make it light, and I'll also try and ensure that 2 hours that Sudhano had given, actually 3 hours, I'm just joking. I will try and finish in an hour and 45 minutes if we can, with the cooperation. Just a quick flow would be very context setting by me in 7 to 10 minutes. Then we'll have the session, a fireside chat between the two gentlemen on the stage. They would do a 30 minutes fireside chat. Then we have the gentleman from SIDBI, who's going to tell us about financing for sustainability. And one and only one panel discussion with 4 representatives who will introduce you to on sustainability, including sustainability in procurement. So we'll try and make it compact. The last one will be question answers. So you decide when we conclude, depending on how many questions you ask. So that will be the thing. Now, just as a context setting, sustainability has been a very cool, fashionable thing. You put a prefix sustainability or a suffix sustainability, any session you can put it. Kuch mein bhi, you can put that. It had its monopoly, everybody said it's important, and I'm not making fun of ourselves, but I'm saying we need to be careful. Except that now sustainability is being replaced by AI, Shekhar. AI has become more cool because any session you bring AI in this and AI in that, but right now we're talking about sustainability. Sustainability is so bizarre that we say politicians are also sustainable because they want to stay in power, sustainable power. Industrialists and capitalists also are sustainable guys because they want to sustain their wealth and income. Great powers in the world are also trying to be sustained. They want to control the world. So सब sustainable हैं आजकल. सब लोग pursue कर रहे हैं sustainability तो हम कोई अलग नहीं कर रहे हैं. There are 2 elements of sustainability in the context that we are talking about. And I'm going more on the environment side of sustainability because governance and society is a little fuzzy, and that can take us the whole day. Environment is something that we all understand as enterprises, this is industry, as to what we're doing. So there is one big picture. Climate change, ozone layer, global temperature changing, that's a big bada cheese, which is being talked about all the time. Let's not spend time on that. Even COP29, they couldn't even finalize the agenda. And I'm convinced multilateral collaboration, I've said this in a very serious platform. I said, when you can't stop 500 people dying every day in the 2 wars, and you can't come to a consensus international body, where will you come to a consensus that 15 years later, one island will go underwater? You're not bothered about that. Your work will not stop because somewhere temperature is going up, because you are not even stopping a war which is happening today. So multilateral platform, and I'm cynical about it, are not going to solve the problems, in my opinion. It's too far-fetched. But let's not be cynical. Coming back to us, for what we are talking about, we're talking about how enterprises like ours, all of you, MSME as well as large, what does sustainability of an enterprise mean for us? Why are we worried? Not because 1.5 degree. We are finding depleting resources. We are finding that there's a concentration and control of these resources with some people. That's driving us into sustainability. We are finding that there is an impact of inequality, there is an impact of inequity, there is an impact of technology on all our continuity business. So we are worried about our sustainability because what environment other things are doing, so we'll focus completely on this. So with this in mind, I just will say just 5 minutes as to why we in industry should be, why we should be holding the torch for sustainability, limited resources, etc. 4 reasons. We are the guys who have created a lot of problems by depleting resources, by depleting forests. So we are the Khalnaiks. We are responsible for a lot of problems. Second reason, We say we know everything. Industry, हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, हमको we have the resources, we have the solution, we have the technology, we are very knowledgeable. So we are the Nayaks also, we are the heroes also. So if you are the villain as well as the hero, third is because we want to grow. Our objective is to grow, so if these resources go out or they become a problem, it's in our interest. And finally, in some way, there's enough evidence, and some of my colleagues will talk about, there's a business case for sustainability, business case for green. So we might as well make advantage of this. With this at the background, I want to quickly put some bullet points. First of all, sustainability agenda is not just for the men, it's for the boys also, or it's not only for the ladies, for the girls also. It means we can't say big enterprises should worry about sustainability, small SME ko koi farak nahi padta, as long as the big guys are doing. That's wrong. Sustainability is not a compliance issue today. It's a survival issue. So don't think I'm tick marks, you're actually having a challenge with your thing. Third, of course, we mentioned, supply chain has to be an integral part of your sustainability, because you can't be really sustainable if your supply chain is not into those things. With this at the background, I'm now suggesting I'm counting in 9 minutes. I had said 10 for myself. So next conversation will be fireside chat. Now, water pe fireside ho raha hai, samajh mein nahi aata. Water should be taking care of that. But I think both of these are cool people. So their fireside chat will be interesting. It's on Shekhar. As a commissioner, has multiple duties. I've had the privilege of working with him on multiple agenda. His concern on environment, sustainability. I'm proud to say that as Greenco, CII, PCMC got the platinum rating, which is one of the amazing things that this community has got under his leadership. So sustainability and green, and he's taken lots of initiatives and things. Incidentally, I promised and told my panelists, kisi ka introduction nahi hoga lamba, because people have come to hear you, not hear about you. Hai na? But I'm mentioning this in case of Shekhar because this is really close. Young Siddharth, as I was telling, he not only pumps water, but he is very, very knowledgeable. I have worked with him on many things, and I find him. So two of them will be talking about water as one key issue. It's a fireside chat, 30 minutes, and after that, we'll have a gentleman from Sydney to tell about. And your time starts now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bhargav. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today. Thank you, MCCI. As Pradeep ji rightly mentioned, sustainability is now more of a survival issue than a compliance issue. Ladies and gentlemen, the India economic story is just about beginning. And one of the key aspects that the government of India has been progressing is the concept of self-reliance, or what is popularly known as Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, we specifically think about economic security or economic independence. But underlying all of this is a key concern of how are we going to achieve that when most of our country is water stressed. So we need to think about water security as an integral part of our economic security and economic prosperity going forward. Water sustainability and water security are kind of two sides of the same coin, because ultimately security of a resource is how well are we sustaining that particular resource to achieve our social or economic goals. So I would put it that it's the same. When we talk about water security, we are talking about water sustainability and vice versa as well. Considering the kind of water security challenges that India faces going forward, there are going to be a lot of business opportunities that are going to emanate from that, and we'll talk something about that. And as Pradeep ji said, we have one of the most apt persons here on stage to talk about sustainability and water security, considering that PCMC is probably the one only or one of the few cities having the platinum rating IGBC standard, right? Second, gift is another one, but yeah, second. But anyway, Shekhar ji, in the morning, in your opening address, you referred to one point about how in the next 15 to 20 years, Pune and Mumbai, kind of are going to morph into a megapolis. And with we have new age industries coming in. We have PCMC is becoming an epicenter of data centers as well. So how do you see a bird's eye view in terms of how do we work on our water security going forward for the region as a whole and for the country as such as well?
Good evening, everyone. So that first and foremost thing, I think that we as a region need to do much more carefully going forward is to look at Pune as a region as a whole. Currently what's happening is PCMC is taking care of itself, PMC is taking care of itself, PMRD is trying to take care of itself, and in between we have MIDC, in between we have some Gram Panchayats, in between we have some municipal councils around Pune. I think at some point we'll have to take that decision for the region as a whole, how you look at the water security situation for the whole PMR region. Because that is what's going to make sense. Because see, watersheds are common. Pune and PCMC, we share watersheds. PMRD is obviously in between. Service water is common. Service water is the most contested thing currently. To the point that when Pune was given water from Bhama's Khed, there was something that was not liked by PCMC at all. Because Bhama's Khed is this side, Pune is that side. But then it happened, obviously. Pune as a city is a much bigger city than PCMC. But having said so, my moot point is that I think at some point of time we'll have to take the decision. We are still not there. We'll have to take a decision to decide for a whole Pune region water security. And that is, I'm talking from a urbanization industrial point of view. We're not even going into the rural part of it. When you look at water security, unfortunately, in urban areas, we are only talking about surface water because that is where the focus is. We never talk about groundwater. Groundwater is like the silent player which is there, but it's a major player. We were trying to, with you also and otherwise, we were trying to analyze the data for the groundwater discharge that happens in the city. And the numbers are somewhere between 24 to 25% groundwater, not discharge, groundwater extraction that is happening. Which is so much so that we never even take care about it in our STPs. We are not even, not just PCMC, no city takes care about sewerage or talks about sewerage from a groundwater extraction point of view. Whenever we plan based on the number of MLD of surface water that we are using. So when you talk about water security, it needs to have all these components, which is your surface water, which is your groundwater, which is also your sewerage and how sewerage is going, what is happening to the sewerage water, because the outflow from the STPs, at least let's say Muda, Pavna, etc., is also an important contributor for downstream. And that is why Ujni people and the Solapur people always keep blaming Pune region as a whole in terms of the quality of water that they're doing. And then there are other issues. So quantity of water is an issue. But at the same time, quality of water is also an issue. Not so much maybe for the industry per se, because you end up distilling it or you end up using it for your processes, but in general overall. When we talk of the water security, I would be hard pressed to give numbers overall for Pune city. But there are a couple of things on that. So there is a demand side and there is a supply side. From supply side, I often keep saying Pune as a city, maybe PCMC included, are one of the most spendthrift when it comes to water. If you look at the per capita consumption that Pune as a region is doing, is amongst the highest in this country. Also because we are blessed with Western Ghats, we are blessed with a very good monsoon. So we never really thought about water as a resource which could become scarce going into the future. Increasingly that entire mindset is coming in, but I think it should come in very, very fast, where we begin to think of it as a very, very scarce resource rather than something which will be available for perpetuity. Having said so also, in spite of that, Pune faces a water stress. Absolutely, we are facing a water stress. Citizens are not very happy. In PCMC, at least, we are able to give alternate day water supply. So we give 2 days water supply in a single day. But we are having to do that. We are having to do only alternate. Just today, we were sitting with all 3 of our MLAs, trying to show them the water security metrics for PCMC. And by 2031, I'll be short by 300 MLD. By 2041, I'll be short by about 800 MLD. And where do you bring in all this water from? If you look at the Krishna water basin, we've dammed it to the maximum possibility and the river tribunal does not allow you to dam it any further. So you end up either using the already dammed water for the urban purposes, for industrial purposes, but which will bring it into conflict with agriculture, right? Which will bring it into conflict with farmers. I don't even want to go down the story that Pavna faced back in 2010. You guys must have been there, so you know it better. But our Pavna water supply project is pending since then only because of the fact that the farming community felt threatened that the water is going to the city, what about us? So we will be increasingly seeing these conflicts between rural and urban. We'll be increasingly seeing the conflicts between urban and urban, both municipal corporations trying to compete with each other. And that is why a regional water security matrix will be very, very important. From our side, we are trying to look at various sources. Don't want to publicly proclaim what we are seeing, but we are also trying to see sources which are probably being used currently for hydroelectric. It doesn't make sense going forward with the entire renewable energy from a solar point of view coming in to utilize water increasingly for hydroelectric. I think at some point of time, at least for a region which is so heavily urbanized and industrialized as Pune, we will have to take a decision that no longer we'll be using it for hydroelectric when more greater uses of water are available and required. At the same time, I think a deep thought needs to be thought through about as far as groundwater is concerned. As I said, rural areas, you are very, very aware about groundwaters because there are wells, there are bore wells, there are tube wells. So every farmer you ask him, he will know. Currently water depth is, aquifer depth is about 300 feet. It used to be 100 feet. Earlier it used to be 50 feet. Any farming community you go, they'll be able to tell. Cities, no one has even a single idea of where the water level exists. We are not even talking about shallow aquifers. That is a very, very advanced thing to talk about, where you begin to say that the basements that are happening for buildings, which are 100-meter high, 200-meter high, are actually ending up disturbing your shallow aquifers. So that is also a point that we, in due course of time, we need to think about, and about wastewater as well, we can talk about.
So very well articulated, and three key takeaways, what I could distill from this is, one is the governance issue, being the same watershed distributed between multiple administrative bodies. How do we how do we look at the regional water matrix? So that's one area. Second, one very important point you mentioned is about the groundwater, which is, I agree with you, it's a big blind spot in terms of the data sufficiency that is available with us, and that's also kind of creating problems in the sewerage and the wastewater infrastructure because of that blind spot. And the third important point that you mentioned, which I'll follow up on that, is the per capita water consumption. And Pune region indeed is one of the highest water consuming regions in India. And there are several data points supporting this, this statistic. On that point, the point about demand management, the new national water policy which is being drafted, and also the Maharashtra's integrated water action plan, which was launched in 2019, both have embedded demand management as a key component in the water security or water planning management roadmap. Demand management is basically how do we increase water use efficiency? And the low-hanging fruits obviously lie primarily with the industry also. I mean, agriculture is there, but in this forum, let us focus on the industry. So industries at their end have been taking a lot of interventions to reduce their water consumption, their water footprint. There are interventions from digital technologies, digitizations that are happening to reduce the water consumption on a per output basis. So given the setting we are in, what are your suggestions or recommendations to the industry when it comes to demand management, so that at least at the industrial level we could focus on reducing the volume of water that is being used in the output?
Siddharth, I very firmly believe, and I will be at a loss to compare the water, the rates that industry pays in Pune versus Indore, Pune versus Ahmedabad, Pune versus Surat, Pune versus Coimbatore. I don't know that data. But somewhere I feel we are paying much less for water than what we should, is also something that I think. It's very difficult to do that in cities, residents, especially in election years, etc., where no one wants to increase the water tariffs. But just to give you an idea, we have not increased water tariffs in PCMC since 2006. So that is where we are. We are at the levels where we were in 2006, and that's the level that people are paying. We are not even going for telescopic rates, for example. your water usage eventually, is industry doing that, telescopic rates? Are you having to pay telescopic rates by MIDC? No. So see, so I think water tariff should also depend somewhere on the kind of usage that we have. If you have lesser usage, it should be lesser charge. If you are using more, it should be more, and it should keep increasing in terms of the slabs. And that is one of the reasons why we've never thought about efficiency in usage. Very surprisingly, I feel very strongly rural areas have been far better than urban areas as far as water demand efficiency is concerned.
The scarcity.
Because of the scarcity, because you know that pinch the farmer has to bear on his own. No one is coming to help you out. If your well dries up, you know, you are left to just ward the entire problem yourself. And that is why with the entire drip irrigation revolution that has happened, and Maharashtra is leading that in India, I think water demand efficiency has increased to a very large extent in rural areas. Whereas in urban areas, that has not happened. When I'm talking about urban, is industrial plus urban. Industry also, because we've not thought about water as a factor to create efficiency in your processes. You know, you create efficiency for labor, you create efficiency for capital, obviously. That is the main thing that industries do. But water has never been thought of as a parameter to improve efficiency. Increasingly, it's happening. As you said, a lot of processes are there, a lot of other things. I think now is the time that industry has to think about water as a key component in terms of, you know, introducing process efficiency, product efficiency, and efficiency at various levels so that your overall water utilization comes down. And I think it should be backed by various other things where water becomes, it should have that pinch available. Just to give you a very short example, and I'll wrap up this point. If you look at Pune, Pune installed water meters in all the societies. But Pune societies pay flat rate. Societies in PCMC are currently not paying flat rate. They are paying as per the usage, which is still not telescopic, but at least they are paying as per usage. But the individual households don't have water meters. So starting 1st January, we are compulsorily introducing household-based meters in societies. There's a lot of opposition from CREDAI, but I think we've come around to that now because it will increase your plumbing cost. It will also mean that every household, the plumbing has to be separate because, you know, your meters are like that. So all those costs, etc., might increase. But at some point of time, we'll have to say that, you know, a person who's improving his efficiency is never incentivized in a society because everyone pays a flat rate to the society. If I'm using 150 LPCD, I'm paying the same rate as you might be using 300 LPCD. So what's the incentive for me to optimize myself on the efficiency? Same is the case also with industry, same is the case with other people. So I think we've never viewed it from an efficiency point of view. One last very quick example. Water aerators in all of our homes can be a very small contribution, individual contribution, as far as water usage is concerned. How many of you have water aerators at home? Okay, at least few. 30%, 20%, right? That again is something we are trying to introduce, but that is something that I'll never be able to regulate. I can only regulate water aerators when a builder is handing over the society. What happens after that is for the society or the individual people to go. So all in all, I think efficiency still lacking in urban areas, in industries as well. And a major reason that I feel is that water has never been thought to be as a resource to be optimized because it's cheaply available.
Yeah, the last point is very crucial, the value, how do we value water? I think that's the missing piece in the entire equation here. But just to revert to one of the points that you mentioned that from January, PCMC would be asking each household to install meters, and I'm presuming these would be smart meters. That are there. So this is an immediate opportunity for the smart meter manufacturers, whoever are there in the audience. Follow up on one of the earlier points that you mentioned, Shekharji, that we have in the Krishna Basin, we have, and not just Krishna Basin, across India now, we have maxed out the surface water tapping opportunities that we have. We are not in a position to dam more rivers. We are not in a position to build more reservoirs. However, even if we increase our demand, our water use efficiency and optimize our demand, still there will be more water that will be required. So from that perspective, how should we look at use or reuse of wastewater? And will that be a significant proportion of the augmentation requirement that we are going to have in 2030, 2040 and going forward?
100% Siddharth. It just goes without saying that the reuse and recycle of water is going to become very, very critical cog in the entire water security debate, and you just can't do without it. If I give you example of PCMC, roughly we are extracting about 520 MLD of, we're utilizing about 550 MLD of water. Generally, water to sewerage, there's a 20% gap in that. So we roughly need to be processing about 389 MLD of sewerage, which currently we have about 369 MLD of capacity, which we are augmenting by another 150 MLD in the next about 1 to 1.5 years. But all this capacity included still is only secondary treatment of water. We only have one plant where we are treating water at the tertiary level, which is 5 MLD water, and out of that 5 MLD, 3 MLD we are using in our waste to energy plant. So our waste to energy plant is currently running absolutely on treated water. So the entire plant runs on 3 MLD of the treated water. Going forward, I think if I'm able to utilize, imagine the entire 369 MLD, reuse that water, I think it pumps up my entire capacity by 50%, right? 50 to 60%. The whole problem with that entire thing is that there are many infrastructural issues with that. For example, one thing that we're dabbling is to create a 100 MLD water tertiary treatment plant at Kasarwadi. Now, I've been talking about it for 1.5 years. We are moving some bit, but not completely. One of the issues in that is an industry, all of you are sitting here. What should be the pricing of that? Because it requires cost. Tertiary treatment requires much higher cost, and tertiary treatment is a step below reverse osmosis, right? Second thing is, can I totally replace what MIDC is currently providing to industry with my 100 MLD? Will industry be ready for that? Because you guys have your drinking water requirement as well. So are you okay with converting that through reverse osmosis for your drinking requirement? If that be the case, the infrastructural cost is very less. Because MIDC already has a pipeline. I only feed my 100 MLD into the feeding point of MIDC at Ravet. But that can have opposition, right? If I ask how many of you will be ready to do reverse osmosis and use it for drinking water, is there anyone? No, so there won't be anyone, and which is rightly so, right? We've not moved to that direction. So now what does that translate into? It translates into me having a parallel line for tertiary treatment, where we begin to say that yes, MIDC would be providing the drinking water needs to the industries from their existing line, but the new line would provide water for the industrial processes. Even in industrial processes, as I was talking to a few people a few months back, even the water that you get for MIDC, how many of you are situated in PCMC? You're using MIDC water, right? Are you utilizing it directly, or you further distill and process it? Directly. I was told few industries are further having to process even that water as well. So one decision will have to be, and there will be a cost involved in that also, Siddharth, that you'll need to, because what we'll be providing will be tertiary treated water. Now on this count, Maharashtra government has absolutely made it stand clear. There is a policy by Maharashtra government, there is a circular which says that the industrial water over the time has to get translated from a currently drinking water to a tertiary treated water. But then if I do that, if I give you tertiary treatment water, you'll need to have a step up probably based on what sort of water you require. Because tertiary treatment also will be providing much higher standards of currently what is there, but you might have to require that. Also then the cost. So the current cost that you pay, if I'm not wrong, is about 22 per unit is what MIDC water that you're paying. The break even that we've been deciding is somewhere about 24, 25. So is industry ready to absorb that cost on this count also, where you will have a higher cost in terms of the process that you will have to involve?
This is without the distribution system.
This is without, no, with distribution.
With distributions.
This is with distributions. So I think we are finalizing that, but increasingly one thing is for clear, and that is for also industries also to realize that increasingly drinking water utilization for industry is absolute no-no. You can't go on utilizing the drinking water for industrial purposes. Drinking water has to be drinking water, whether it's in industries, whether it's in residential areas. Singapore also, the most oft-quoted example, they don't feed their tertiary treated water to drinking water supplies. They feed it back to the dam. And very cleverly that water comes back, which they again treat in their water treatment plants, is then fed to the people. So even that count, I don't know whether we've reached that point also, whether I can feed it back to my my Ravet water treatment plant. Even though the water that I left from Ravet would be dirtier than my tertiary treated water. But if I tell it to people, it will create a uproar in the city for sure. So I think those are the few things that will be required. If you look at the tertiary treated projects that are happening throughout India, they work very well when you have a bulk customer. So Nagpur provides its entire bulk tertiary treated water to Khaparkheda coal plant because it's a bulk player. You directly put a line and you give it. There's no distribution cost involved. In the project that we've envisaged for this 100 crore, that's almost about 400 crore project, where about 150 crore to 200 crore is only distribution network. And the machinery and the treatment, etc., is only about 200 crore. That is without OPEX. This is a CAPEX that I'm talking about. So, distribution network, because of the complexity of laying a parallel line, is almost like 50% of the cost.
So the data points also that we have from other cities. So, for example, Chennai, what people give example of Singapore to the world, we give example of Chennai to India. Chennai has a high level of reuse and recycle of water. There are 2 tertiary treatment plants, what Shekharji mentioned, similar to what Shekharji mentioned in Chennai. And we have the data points for that, and they are running since about 5 years perfectly fine. So the tech is established, the concept or the business model is there. Similarly, as he mentioned, they are selling, Chennai Metro Water Supply, Suraj Board is selling the water to 3 industrial clusters in Sipcot, in Ennore, in Gumnipudi, and Sirparandur. And they are buying that tertiary treated water for their industrial purposes only, not again for drinking. And they have put a separate pipeline also for that. The Chennai Metro Water Supply Suraj Board, from these 2 plants, there are combined 90 MLD, 45 million liters a day, and the other one is 45 million liters a day, combined 90 MLD. Their annual revenue from these 2 plants is 160 crore. So there is a huge revenue opportunity, which will kind of feed into the other aspects of how the corporation needs to keep up its water infrastructure that can come from these sort of investments. The point about what you mentioned about tariff, if we were to set up these tertiary treatment plants to augment the water supply, there will be a cost element to that. Typically, as you said, the break even you're looking at is 24 to 25 right now. And right now industry is paying 22, but that is on a fixed basis. So, how can PCMC and the industry, what is your suggestions or recommendations to the industry in terms of what support PCMC seeks to ensure that these plants come online as soon as possible and that sustain like what we see in Chennai?
The only support is that you be ready to pay a little bit higher than 22. That's all. Baki kuch nahi chahiye. Baki we will be setting up, we'll be regulating. We are going for a VGF scheme on this. It is going to be a PPP project, and it's a Department of Economic Affairs, Government of India project. I presented it twice or thrice to various levels in Government of India. They are largely on board. Their suggestion has been that PCMC should buy the water from the PPP partner and then sell it to the industries, because from a regulatory standpoint, that will be much easier for PCMC to be operating rather than the operator to be operating. The only thing will be the price point, nothing else. So I don't see any other issue. And by the way, a lot of industries have come forward. I think that has been a very healthy thing. Chakan Association, for example, have already, the preliminary discussion that we had, they said easily 14 to 15 MLD, a direct pipeline if you can put in, because they are having a water stress situation is what I am told in Chakan. I don't know what the current situation is, but I was told that there is a problem. One big group I won't name has already said that we'll take about 8 MLD. So we are getting those bulk suppliers as well, but then eventually it has to be throughout MIDC.
So one last point before we wrap up is, from the domestic side, we spoke about industry. From the domestic side, PCMC has been working with societies to ensure that the STPs installed in the societies are actually running. And PCMC has created an empaneled committee of experts who can suggest on how they can run the STPs. If you look at what happened in Bangalore in March earlier this year, because of the water scarcity, they made a change in policy wherein up to 50% of the treated wastewater from the societies could be sold to industries. And what is happening, the good thing that is happening is there is a lot of these micro markets for treated reuse that are getting created in PCMC, like data centers. data centers are coming up in PCMC in the core urban areas. So till that 100 MLD system is set up, do you think these societies who have a lot of these STPs may not be functional, can they help in supplying this water? How will the distribution work to data centers, to a lot of the commercial buildings which have water-cooled air conditioning systems, which Bangalore did? The data is still vague in terms of how successful it has been, but there is a revenue model for the societies. They earn 8 rupees a kiloliter for the water that they sell. So is this something that we can explore for this region as well?
Siddharth, we can. It will be interesting. I don't know the Bangalore example. So in fact, it will be interesting for us to sort of undertake to study what they're exactly doing. One only challenge that I foresee is that for a data center to be taking water from society, A, it cannot be bulk supply from a single society. It will have to be multiple societies. B, if you transport it otherwise through water tankers and all, which anyway happens, right? That could be one way of looking at it, but I see construction industry more as a better buyer of that water than anyone else. And that also only when I start cracking down on them not having borewells for that requirement. So that is also another battle that we are, battlefront that we are opening for ourselves, where we are saying that the construction industry needs to start taking water from our STP directly. COEP has certified that it is good enough to be utilized the current parameters, outfall parameters that we have, and we are soon starting that, trying to monitor. We'll be taking a deposit at the time of the building permission only, and then at the level of occupancy certificate, we'll be trying to see how much water they took from STP. Otherwise, they'll be fining, etc., etc. But that's also another thing that is required. Data centers, you're very correct. I think eventually, even here as well, data centers we see as one of the another bulk suppliers where we'll be providing. I don't see data centers being linked to that, but cooling centers, big malls, etc., etc. I think those are the kind of players that might be connected with these societies, but I'll be at a loss of any real great input on how that will work out. But I think it's an idea worth exploring. So definitely, I think something for me to look into.
Thank you so much. I think it has been a privilege for me to host the commissioner, and I hope it was productive and wonderful to all of you to hear as well. So thank you so much. Thank you, Pradeep ji, for introduction. Before we wrap up, I just want to mention one last point. Can we have the slide up? So in the discussion, one point came up very frequently was the tariffs and the costing or the economics of water. The Pune International Center, the Pune Knowledge Cluster, and the Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, all three combined have initiated a project titled Jal Mulya. And the idea behind Jal Mulya has been, the genesis of Jal Mulya is that we need to first of all have a bearing or a grasp of the true cost of water that is being supplied. The moment from we extract it to the dams to the point we supply it to the consumers. And from the demand side also, there is, as Shekhar ji mentioned, there is a certain perception of how much water, how much amount we pay for our water versus how much we actually pay if we internalize all the economic externalities. So I don't have the time to elaborate on this right now, but what you have on your screen is a QR code wherein we are seeking inputs from industry in terms of some data points from the industry which will help us do that. My colleague here, Sumrit, can you just raise your hand? He's here, Sumrit can help and guide, in terms of any kind of information that is needed on this project, and we would like to have more and more industries get associated with this project as well going forward. So with that, thank you so much once again. Over to you, Pradeep ji. Thank you.
Thank you so much to both our speakers. As a token of gratitude, I request Pradeep Bhargava sir to please felicitate our guests.
I already got that in the morning.
It was indeed a very valuable interaction, and through conversations like these, we hope we can all take away actionable items for our industries as well as the wider world. Mr. Siddharth Desai. A group picture, please. Thank you. Moving on with the agenda, we have a presentation on green finance.
Yeah.
And I invite on stage Mr. Hemant Mishra, AGM of SIDBI.
Friends, while this presentation being said, I just want to suggest when Mr. Hemant Kumar Mishra, AGM SIDBI, steps in, he'll be telling us in all of 15 minutes the thing. I want to mention that, Siddharth, the inputs you gave us are amulya. They are priceless. So we're going to use that in our session when we come to industry. Thank you. Thanks, Shekhar. I really appreciate.
कौन सा वाला आगे जाने के लिए ये वाला ओके थैंक यू so a very good evening to all ladies and gentlemen. Myself Hemant Kumar Mishra, Assistant General Manager SIDBI Pune office. I will be taking you all through a small presentation covering the schemes of SIDBI. So first of all, let me start from the basics of SIDBI. SIDBI is a principal financial institution for the funding of MSME. It was established by an Act of Parliament on the 2nd of April 1990. Basically, as per the Act, SIDBI Act, we are having three basic functions: promotion, financing, and development. Now, activities of SIDBI. If you take a look at this slide, the SIDBI covers the entire gamut of MSME financing, be it direct financing, be it promotion, be it development, be it indirect financing. Like we have various subsidiaries like CGTMSE. You must have all heard of CGTMSE, the loans which are collateral free. Then we have the Mudra, the famously launched Mudra Yojana by Honorable PM Sir. Apart from this, we have venture funds which invest in various startups. We have cluster development scheme. As part of the cluster development scheme, the SIDBI gives loan to the state governments for developing industrial clusters in the various industries. Direct finance, which I will be dealing with, as part of direct finance, we give direct loan to MSMEs. Then the institutional finance, banks, NBFCs, MFI. As part of institutional finance, we give loan to banks and NBFCs for onward financing to the MSMEs. So basically, be it direct finance, indirect finance, venture capital, subsidiaries, or cluster development, we are there at every part. So basically, there are two phases of an MSME. Existing MSME, like an established unit going for expansion or purchase of land, plant and machinery, equipments, or a greenfield unit. Greenfield means so basically a unit which is starting from scratch. Now, CAPEX loan for setting up or OPEX loan for operations. What is the difference between the two? OPEX loan means any working capital assistance, like it is for operational activities. And CAPEX, it is for various like plant and machinery purchase, equipment financing, land purchase, and other things. SIDBI offerings for project financing. Holistic approach to assess the project, promoter margin-based financing, land acquisition, electrification of the DG sets. Like if I take you through all of them, SIDBI has, as part of direct finance, we have two types of financing. One is the the margin-based financing, where the promoter brings their own margin and we finance the remaining part. And we also have the 100% financing scheme, where we finance the entire project or the entire part of machinery. I will be coming into it and then as part of my later slides. Holistic approach to assess the project. Like SIDBI is majorly into financing of project. So we have to holistically assess the entire project. Like what will be the various ratios, what can be the repayment tenure, what exactly the promoter wants. And cost can be considered from land acquisition to electrification of the setup. Like if you are trying to purchase a land, not land where land is a part of project, land, building, plant and machinery, there the land acquisition can also be financed by SIDBI. One, like we have Sthapan also, the Sthapan scheme. Sthapan scheme is basically financing of greenfield units, where you are trying to set up a completely new unit, where you are trying to set up a unit from the scratch. For that, we have Sthapan scheme. OPEX, working capital financing, working capital offering. I will be covering it in my later slides. SIDBI offerings for speed, machinery financing. Like I told you earlier, it is 100% financing of asset. For example, if you are going for acquisition of a machine, which is costing 100 rupees, after you add GST, 18 rupees, it becomes 118 rupees. In that case, SIDBI will be financing 100% of the cost of the project. And the promoter margin can be considered as FD without any additional collateral. Like in this case, the margin of the promoter, be it 25% or 30%, it will be kept with SIDBI in the form of a SIDBI FDR. And this the SIDBI FDR will be returned back after the completion of the loan. Once the loan ends, the FD along with the interest is given back. Repayment up to 7 years. The repayment can take place up to 7 years. It can be 4 years also, 5 years also, depending upon the repaying capacity of the project. Step, working capital term loan. In this working capital term loan, what we offer is like, one is working capital, another is working capital term loan. The major difference between the two is that in this case, the working capital is given in the form of a term loan, not as a CC limit. So the entire amount of working capital has to be paid back in installments. In this case, we give up to 2 CR, up to 2 crore, and the loan tenure is up to 36 months, that is 3 years. So working capital financing in the form of a term loan, limit is up to 2 crore, and the repayment time is 3 years. Now Express, end-to-end digital machinery loan. In Express scheme, it's basically a new offering from the stable of SIDBI. For 1 CR is the limit for a new to bank customer. If you are not an existing customer of SIDBI, a new unit, a new MSME for us, in that case, the limit is up to 1 CR, and if you are our existing customer, the limit is 3 CR. It is a new offering, as I said earlier. In this case, we don't do any assessment of the project. The promoter has to enter their details on the SIDBI website. There is an algorithm running in the backdrop. It will check your eligibility, the amount which you are eligible for, and an online sanction letter will be emailed to you without any human intervention. Quick sanction through automation. Like there is a software running in the backdrop. It will check your eligibility. It will capture data from GST. It will capture data from your income tax returns, and then an amount will be sanctioned by system itself. You will receive an email that you have been sanctioned this much amount of loan based on your eligibility. SWIFT, end-to-end digital working capital. It's also a CC limit, but it's basically in the form of an overdraft facility. It is up to 3 CR and a vintage of 3 years and should not have any existing CC facility. It's basically nothing but an overdraft facility. Limit is up to 3 CR only, and it is given to those MSME units who are having existence of at least 3 years. Arjana scheme, it is basically a women entrepreneur-centric scheme. In this scheme, the women entrepreneurs should have at least 51% stake. For example, if it's a partnership unit, the women partners should have at least 51% partnership stake. Or if it's a company, then the women shareholders should have at least 51% shareholding. Loan is up to the limit of 3 CR. The CGTMSE fees is shared by SIDBI. Apart from this, there is one more incentive. Like if the loan is repaid on time by the borrowing entity, in that case, 1% of the interest amount is reimbursed back at the end of the financial year. So it's basically to promote the women entrepreneur-centric centric units. This scheme has been launched. SAT, it is for SC/ST-led MSMEs. The SC/ST promoter should have at least 51% stake in the entity. Loan is up to rupees 3 CR, and in this scheme, it is incentivized up to 0.5% of the principal outstanding based on track record. So at the end of the financial year, the principal outstanding, the 0.5% of that will be reimbursed back to the entrepreneur. Green finance scheme. In this scheme, the limit is up to 20 CR for the service provider, and if it's an aggregator, it is 50 CR. And the promoter's contribution should be minimum 20%. Repayment is up to 10 years. Both existing and greenfield units are eligible. By green finance scheme, basically, I mean any unit, any entity which is going for the funding of. Suppose if your project is into green, for example, if you are coming with a big solar park or a big like for aggregator, if you are coming up with some scheme for EV, then it can be called into the green finance scheme. Solar PV models financing for financing. If a captive model, under captive model, if the electricity is used by the MSME itself instead of selling to somebody else, in that case, it is covered under the captive model. Captive model, self-consumption only. The unit has to consume the electricity on self, not to sell to any third party. Gross net metering has to be there. Then the solar plant has to be owned by the MSME itself. In the non-captive, RESCO and open access. RESCO means they are basically energy service companies. So they are into selling of the electricity. Like the MSME unit, it is not the owner of the electricity generated. The RESCO is the owner. Cash flow based financing scheme for the defense sector. It is a newly launched scheme by SIDBI around 2-3 weeks back. It is for those MSMEs which are dealing in defense sectors, where you have got the confirmed order from any defense, like Army, Navy, Air Force, or DRDO. The order should be a confirmed order, and the limit is up to 20 CR, and it is confirmed order. The order will be confirmed by SIDBI also, by sending a mail to the department that whether this order is confirmed or not. And on the basis of that order, your MPBF will be worked out. MPBF means your CC limit, how much limit you require for this order fulfillment. Collateral security 30% should be FDR, CGTMSC coverage, PG of promoter directors 30% should be FDR means it only should be FDR, and at the end of loan, the FDR amount with interest will be given back to the promoter. Rate of interest, it's basically MCLR driven. Should be MCLR is at present 8.5%, and the rate of interest will be the ROI will be around somewhere around 9.5%. More scheme. This scheme has basically been launched for the renovation of hospitals and hotels. It is a newly launched scheme. It's not for the construction of a hotel or a hospital. It's for their renovation only. The limit is up to 5 CR. Funding is up to 80% funding. Tenure is up to 8 years with a 1-year moratorium. The eligibility, 3 years of operation with cash profit in last 3 years. Cash profit means net profit plus the depreciation. And ROI, it is again MCLR driven. MCLR is around 8.5%, so the net interest it will be somewhere around 9.5 to 10% in this scheme. MSME gift, green investment and financing for transformation. As I told you earlier, that SIDBI being one of the leading MSME loans in the MSME loan scheme. So this scheme has been launched by Government of India, Ministry of MSME. In this scheme, the 2% of interest is reimbursed to the MSME. The loan amount is 10 lakh to 2 crore every year. On suppose if the loan has been given by SIDBI at the rate of 10%, in that case, 2% will be reimbursed back to you. So the net on net effect will be around 8% only. 2% will be reimbursed back to you. And this reimbursement will be done at the end of FY. For example, the amount of interest it has been served from 1st April to 31st March, it will be reimbursed in the next FY. And SIDBI is one of the nodal agencies which is running this MSME gift scheme. But it is only for loans up to 2 CR, not above that. And maximum period 5 years for loans sanctioned up to 31st March 26. Only the loans which are sanctioned up to this date will be eligible for this coverage under this scheme. And CHMSC guarantee coverage can be taken 10% concession for MSMEs owned by women, SC, ST, Agniveers, and those in Northeast region and other areas. Why not SIDBI? SIDBI basically, as I told earlier, that SIDBI takes a holistic view of entire project. So we help you in finalizing the project. We help you we sort of become partner in your project. So in that case, need-based moratorium in the finance. For example, the exact moratorium that you want, for example, be it 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year. So when we assess the project, the entire holistically we assess the project. How much moratorium you want? What is the amount of loan that can be given? What will be the ROI? What will be the IRR? What will be the NPV? So we take a complete picture of the entire project. Paperless digital GST invoice financing through digital GST Sahay. GST Sahay is basically a newly launched scheme from SIDBI. At present, it is being run for our existing customers, where a limit up to 25 lakh is given to you. It's basically nothing but your invoice discounting scheme. And recently we have come with various cash flow based financing schemes, like I told you, in the defense sector. Digital process to have seamless access to transparency. SIDBI is in SIDBI we have become completely digital. Be it applying for a loan, there is no paperwork involved in applying for loan. It is completely a digital application of loan. You go to SIDBI website. All you need to do is fill up your details. You give your GST data. You give your ITR data, and the application is complete. So this is what SIDBI can do. Thanks, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra. It was a very comprehensive presentation on various initiatives by SIDBI. I request Mr. Siddharth to please felicitate Mr. Hemant Mishra. We at MCCI are always honored to have association with SIDBI on several fronts. The next we have a very engaging panel discussion on sustainability as business enabler and sustainable procurement. I invite on stage Mr. Kedar Rere, Managing Director, Umicore, Mr. Sandesh Salian, Director, Dali and Samir Engineering, Ms. Mayura Buzari, Group Head, Sustainability, Kirloskar Group, and Mr. Vijay Sonavane, Head of Sourcing, Forbes Marshall. I also request Mr. Pradeep Bhargava to please steer this conversation.
Put one preamble. The session on water puts extra obligations on us. I think the points that were made, can industry not use drinking water for industrial application? Can industry, in fact I mentioned this in CI, ask for tariff increase for water? Because if that's the only way we will cut down the consumption, when electricity tariff goes up, we create enough noise and we start conserving electricity. So maybe there's a case for us to ask for tariff increase, not done. And if you're really worried about it, let's become water neutral. So there is an answer even after things. So with this little background, I'm going to be precise, and my colleagues have agreed. I'm going to request each one of them total of 7 minutes to give their perspective on the subject, their own views, and thereafter we'll see as we move. So maybe we start with Vijay, and I've just introduced Vijay, oversees the entire procurement supply chain function for the Forbes Marshall Group. He has long experience in earlier companies also in the same function, including Mahindra.
Yep.
Yeah. So floor is yours, and your time starts now.
Yep. So thank you so much for giving up 7 minutes. So we'll definitely add it to the time. To start with the content setting, what we've done for the sustainability. As we discussed so far, that sustainability is not about only the being green. It's all about when we make a business, we should ensure that we are not impacting to the planet or not impacting to the economy, not impacting to the peoples also. The society, environment, and economics we should take in consideration when we make a business. Now, coming back to the what we do in a procurement and the supply chain excellence and the supply chain, how we control and how can we see as a no impact to the society, no impact to the people, and no impact to the profits to that. To have sustainable procurement, we ensure that our value chain start with the suppliers. So to upscale the suppliers, to ensure that they will use the renewable energy and start with the calculating the like carbon footprint, what we manufacture any product, we transport any product, what we producing the carbon in the while we using the process. So as in Forbes Marshall, we started the one initiative called Parivartan. So Parivartan, we need to do it from ourselves. Like you mentioned, what is government doing for us, what is other agencies doing for us, what I can do for my society, what I can do for environment, what I can do for the people. That we started with the Beyond Business initiative, the CSR activity, and we have started the Parivartan program for all our suppliers. The Pune-based suppliers, we identified around 300 suppliers, which can be part of the sustainable drives, where we given them a MSME lean scheme for upscaling their skills and knowledge by how to reduce the waste, to reduce the waste in the process, so that will give some impact to the environment. Then upskill them. Then we are emphasizing them to use solar energy for their processes. That so far in last 18 months we have started this program, we could able to do around 400 plus kilowatt solars people have started using, and they are installed their plant, where SIDBI also help us to give them a green financing to them, and we helping them with the documentation. Also for the lean program is a government of India program, where government giving around 90% subsidies on the training of that lean program, where we so far 80 suppliers we engage with the program, and they are could able to benefit in their process. They are reduce the waste, and they are improve their productivity by 15%. Those are few benefits we already got it from the scheme. And going back to reducing the water uses, like in a Forbes Marshall in a business of steam systems, boilers, where energy is more core for us. To energizing business and energizing communities, our core values to be taken forward. That we take care about the environment. And while the procurement, what we started about the measuring the carbon footprint in the while we buying the parts, processing the parts. So like a small example, we require under 10 ton of casting every day. So we are buying a casting from the different, we are importing some, we are buying from Belgaum, Shimoga area. And what we found, we are transporting and we are increasing the carbon footprint in the process. The two small initiatives which has impacted and to reduce the carbon footprint is one is for developing the source nearby in a Pune that will reduce the burden on the carbon footprint. And second is that using the recyclable material like WCB casting, which is a can be remold and can be used the new parts. That are the two small initiatives that has helped us to reduce the carbon footprint. Further, we are working to reduce on the water wastage and other processes. These are some initiatives in the procurement that help us, and I see that it's giving a benefit to the society, people, and as well as the economy also.
Yeah, thank you so much. So here's a parivartan being put onto suppliers, and there is a parivartan coming in your purchase price also. So you're getting the benefits besides everything else. So here's again a classic case: push it on to your partners. Not push it on, is engage your partners. They feel good that they're being nice to society and environment, and you get also the fact that your thing, and ultimately, in your scope 3 of net zero, all this will matter. So
yes,
that's a wonderful.
That are the people, and then planet and profit. Still, three aspects can be driven. Yeah. And like these are the people are not aware about the schemes, aware about the things. That awareness will help with the many different forum we are using to them.
Okay, I'll come to you, Kedar, now. Kedar is Managing Director and Chief Executive of Umicore. It's a European large company. So we in India are very nervous about supplying to anything in Europe because we think you are very strong on your demands on ESG, etc. Are you strong with yourself also when you're pushing things on the other supplies? All yours, your time starts now.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Bhargav. And no option, we have to be strong on this because I think sustainability is how we have to now live for the future. And I just want to give a bit of context. I work with a company called Umicore. It's a European company. And in India, we operate a plant in Shirwal, which is making automotive catalysts. So we are making a product which makes clean air. Bharat stage 6 mein jo product jata hai, so it passes through our catalysis and that cleans the air. So what we are having as a better air. Having said so, I think Umicore business philosophy is about, and I'll talk about this more because this links very well with business and sustainability. It's a circular business model. So Umicore is big in clean mobility and also recycling. So while we are producing, we are taking the resources, depleting mines, and so on. So we have a recycling business, which actually in the group today, our raw material strategy is to have either end of life or secondary life, close to 54% is recycled. And we have a big unit in Belgium. So when we are making automotive catalyst in India, which uses platinum, palladium, rhodium, again a resource which globally comes because India doesn't have that, and it's a critical raw material, we also see that how much recycled content can be added. And now with Government of India talking of ELV, that is end of life vehicle policy, Gadkari sahab jo usko bolte rehte hain, and many OEMs like Tata Motors, Mahindra, Suzuki, they are putting up their recycling facilities for the car to go, which are 20 years old. We will take those catalysts which are in the car back and they'll get recycled to use the materials back. So I think this is one core circular economy we are looking at, and that's strong of Umicore. Having said so, now let me come to India back and our plant in Shirwal. We look at energy and we talked about water. Shekhar Singh, our dynamic PCMC commissioner, talked about it very illicitly. And we also look at how water stewardship programs can be run at the factories. Sir, you read Greenco, so that's also something we are aiming for. And in that, we are seeing how water from the resources is not taken for our factory because there's a mandate from MPCB that you cannot use waters from the ground or the surface water. So we are seeing how our ZLD, which are put in place now, are taking full benefit of the water circularity, except the drinking water for the employees like us. So that's big leadership we are taking. And energy, not to talk about just solar, but what we are trying to see, how can we reduce the unit energy consumption per production is what we're looking at. There are many innovative solutions which we are also evaluating with various partners, some of them present here, that how do we bring tracking onto this and how our factory people are challenged to reduce the per electricity consumption, whether green or non-green, doesn't matter. But we have to first bring the energy consumption down. So I think these are the two parts which I would just highlight now, and the circular economy of it. Yeah.
Lovely, thank you very much. Now here's a perspective. People say I've set up solar plants, so I'm getting cheap. But the fact is you're reducing your energy consumption, and then comes the next one. So it's absolutely smart. The circularity that you talked about in water, etc. Thank you so much. It's been an interesting thing. Sandesh, can I request you? Sandesh is the Dali and Samir Engineering. He's the boss there. And he's been very deeply involved with us in Maratha Chamber. So Sandesh, you know what we stand for within and the audience. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Pradeep ji. Difficult task following up with so many stalwarts. I think you all have eaten up most of my speech. You've covered circularity. Shekhar ji has covered water. He's covered carbon footprint and lean logistics, supplier end. I'm little confused what I should speak on. So I had a 52-year young company called Dali and Samir. We're a medium-scale company. So I'm going to speak to you about the challenges in implementing sustainability in a medium MSME company and how we integrated it into our core operations and how it's benefiting us. So we MSMEs are a very peculiar breed. Okay, we face pressures from our customers, from the government, from the unions, and also from our wives. So in this, yeah, but more for us, we are already beaten down so much. So we started our journey of sustainability pre-COVID, and our consultant was also from the sustainability desk from MCCI, very good consultants. So the first thing he said is that, Sandesh, we need to work on a triple balance sheet approach, which is people, planet, and profit. And I thought to myself, अरे यार एक balance sheet संभालने में इतना मुश्किल है, he's asking about triple balance sheet. So very difficult thing to do. And then he said, you should use green energy. Put your own solar rooftops and procure green energy. And COVID hit us. No money for green energy. So what do we do about these initiatives? So we took a slightly different path, which helped us a lot. What we did is, we did a very detailed energy audit, also through MCCI, very unlike the energy audits that we did. And we captured a huge amount of parameters from our machines. And we focused on the machines that consumed the maximum amount of power and consequently had huge amount of carbon emissions. And what we did here is we analyzed how much power it consumed, what we could do to reduce the sizing of the power. Okay, so very quick ROI, much faster than renewable energy. And we went about it a little different. So we done the lean cluster also through MCCI. We try to use that knowledge, try to modify the machines, improve the efficiencies, improve the productivity. So what we typically got is, most of our big machines, we got the energy consumption by more than 50% down. The labor productivity went up more than 200%. Also, very typical thought process. One of the Japanese gurus taught me. He said, don't use a man for his muscles or his body. Use his most important resource, which is the intellectual resource. But what do most of us do? Arey, wo uthao, idhar lao, ye karo. So again, the lean training that we got through MCCI, we used that. We tried to reduce the human effort. By that, our cycle times also came down. So all in all, our sizing for our solar rooftops, that also came down. So direct emissions came down. How did it help us as a business? Arey, COVID mein paisa hi nahi tha. So, the ROI was typically within 6 months. It improved our efficiencies, costs came down. So, multiplier effect out there. We found this very useful to us. I mean, productivity was also a great thing. The space came down, a lot of such improvements. The second challenge that we faced during COVID was manpower was not there. I don't know how many of you guys from engineering, welding area. So do you get welders now? No, nahi milte. Because it's a dirty, dangerous operation. Nobody wants to do that. They'd rather sit in a mall, in an air-conditioned mall, and punch something out there or move some goods around. So what did we do about it? We looked at, we make these large fuel tanks and other products, very labor intensive. For some of these fuel tanks that we make for Daimler, they weigh close to about 160 kilos. So we had 6 people lift it, do a leakage testing, and then, we have to clean it for his catalytic converters. I mean, we really have to be very clean fuel systems. So we have to clean it by putting in clean liquid and clean whatever's inside. So imagine 7 people, actually it was 7 people, lifting this thing and shaking it around. How much can you do and how much effort is there? And won't somebody look at other options? I mean, people have options nowadays. Who'll do that? So what we did is, we looked at all these hazardous operations, other thing. We robotized it. And what we did is, the people that we saved, we upskilled them. So those same people are running those robots. They trained to program those robots. So that little bit of people that we did. We also looked at, within our operations, what are the people unfriendly practices? Industrial shop floors are very noisy. When I started my career, we thought a good manager is somebody who could close his eyes and just by thumping and all the noises, he'll know what's happening, kitna production aa raha hai, who's shirking work and who's doing work, sir. I know you must have done that a lot. So, but what happened is here, imagine somebody who's working in an atmosphere close to 100 decibels. What's it doing to his ears? What's it doing to his mind? How stressed is he? So we also make mufflers. We consume a lot of your catalyst also. So we use our knowledge in mufflers, and we got down the emissions, the noise emissions from our processes significantly. In fact, some of the processes come down below the ambient levels. So this is how we enrich the people. I won't touch on water. There's a lot I can talk of water. I'm a very talkative person. But he's got time limitation on me and he's looking at me. So what I would like to say out here is, he talked about working about the carbon emissions. We've already done that. So what we do is, we've integrated in our core process. So we already measure the amount of carbon or the amount of labor that goes into every product that we make. We produce this MIS on a daily basis. The advantage is it becomes a KPI from a plant head. Emission comes down. Also, my labor productivity goes up. Also, my energy per product comes down. So it's integrated into the core manufacturing operations, and that's where you get the maximum benefit. So I believe you do one good thing, it gives a snowball effect and gives fantastic other results. Profit is just a outcome of it. Thank you so much.
No, but this is absolutely remarkable. Bringing in these emissions, etc., in the MIS, we normally look at what does it do to my bottom line, but I think this is remarkable. We've heard about circular economy where we use the material for different purposes. This guy is doing circular economy with people. एक बंदे को दूसरा काम दे के पूरा circular कर रहा है. You are absolutely innovative in this. Thank you so much for this wonderful thing. It's not by accident that I'm requesting Mayura to speak in the end, because the lady, any case, has the last word. So, so here we are, and more so because Mayura has got the responsibility of sustainability for the entire Kirloskar group. We have great respect for the group. I've been a long distance, short distance fan of your organization. So tell us, because I also am aware, I used to work for Cummins for a long time, that we always are on the back foot when we look at us, because अरे आप तो engine बनाते हो, धुआं निकालते हो, आप कैसे improve करोगे? So, you know, I've gone through that for 18 years. So all yours, Mayura, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. And Sandesh just said that, you know, all people have already eaten his point. I'm after you. So, yeah. So when it comes to ESG, when Pradeep sir started talking, COP29 ka agenda bhi final nahi hua. So climate change is like a helicopter view. But what it actually means to industry, what it actually means to day-to-day decision we make, company makes, and the board has to approve. So I'll talk a little bit of governance angle to begin with. Being a listed entity, we are a group of 4 listed entities. All the decisions and the capital expenditures have to be approved by board. Now, if you are looking at the cycle where the major capexes are going to board, if I'm waiting for 2 quarterly meetings to happen and waiting for shareholders to approve it, it's a very long process. So what we did is we focused on 5 key focus areas, which is the E part of ESG. The G portion is taken care. We wanted to speed up this process. So the E started with, of course, energy management. E in environment for us means energy, emissions, water, waste, and innovation, which encompasses all of this. So when we talk about energy management, the simplest thing to do is track your electricity bill per plant. We discuss the power factors, we discuss the consumption. Even if we are linking this to the financial angle, when you are looking at your electricity bill, the deposit that you keep with MSEB or whichever electricity board, can it be cash or BG? If it is saving your cash, you can as well give a bank guarantee and work better on your cash flow. So looking at that aspect from energy, finance, and operations is what we discussed. It came top down as well as down to top. All the people who are energy manager, the maintenance guy at the plant level is suggesting all these things. What do I do? First thing is to do is energy audits. However, what came out of that is heat audit. Even if we have a seamless tube company, we have a pig iron and a casting company. If there is any heat leakage happening, can I use that heat anywhere? As simple thing as if there is a heat leakage, I can use that heat to warm up a water with which you can clean your tools. So I'm not spending extra electricity to heat up that water and the energy saving happen. So energy management, of course, all the big cases of renewable energy and the business cases, the Excel sheet working, is a very low-hanging fruit. And as a group, we are committed for almost 200 megawatt of solar plus wind in next 3 years. So that is a big change for a group which has been reliant with on the grid electricity for so long. Another concept, I would say renewable energy, and there is a concept of recycled energy. So since we have coal-fired furnaces, there's a lot of heat leakage happens. Again, there, all the flue gases are high temperature. So what we discussed is this something called wasted recovery. So all the flue gases heat is used to, for the batteries, and the turbines are used for creating electricity. With this, the mega plant of Kirloskar Ferris is off the grid. And at the peak production, we even supply to the grid. So that's a good win. So not just the renewable energy is where we are focusing on, but how we can recycle even the energy part of it. Next thing is about energy efficient innovation. So energy management takes care of the processes within the premises. What can we do to offer better energy products to the customers? So if you see, we have already started working on hydrogen. So there is a hydrogen dual engine that Kirloskar Oil Engine is proposing, which is hydrogen diesel blend, which is hydrogen CNG blend. So the concept testing and design has already happened. There is we are the biggest, I think, we have the biggest range of CNG fired engines, as well as we are also working on the compressor side with Kirloskar Pneumatic. We are also working on CNG compressors. We are working on biogas compressors, and we are also working on hydrogen compressors. So energy efficient innovation which will give more business sustainability. Now when we are looking at a business sustainability as an angle, another thing is about cost optimization. So when we had just taken ISMT as one of the recent merger that happened, but within 2 years we realized that there is a lot of business overlap between Kirloskar Ferris and ISMT. So instead of running these two entities separately, business operations were merged, which brings another angle, which is business sustainability. So as a big entity, I have a better reach to customers, I have a better availability of resources, and plus I can optimize resources by using, say for example, pig iron from KFL can easily be used for the electric furnace that we have for the steel, as well as there is knowledge transfer also. So that is the fourth aspect, which I said that sustainability through mergers, and the sustainable infrastructure is the last piece in the puzzle. We have also got into the real estate business recently. The first building is up near Koth Road. So for the real estate buildings, right from the conceptualization, design, even in the development process, we are seeking IGBC ratings. So we were the first building to get IGBC ratings even at the time of building the, starting the process, and even the design was approved accordingly. So whenever we go for additional project, this is a very good learning for us. And this for us sets the whole carbon economy. So first you measure your carbon, then you reduce your carbon, and the last leg would be offsetting the carbon. Offsetting also, there are two options. You just buy the credits, or the another way is to use your own premises to have a biodiversity park. So instead of going only for 30% green cover, we are focusing on native trees, we are focusing on flora and fauna, which will give us better carbon sequestration than just offsetting it just for the sake of it. So that's a whole group picture. Each and every plant has their own unique projects going on, but it's an interesting space to be in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Absolutely delightful. The 4 mantras of yours are making happen. So this panel is very circular type. We started with circular material. Our man made it circular people, and she's using circular energy. No waste heat recovery is also trying to do circular. So we're going round and round with respect to the things, but amazing, amazing things. And you talked about IGBC and the thing, and absolutely delightful. I was in Hyderabad the whole of yesterday in IGBC, and just want to give you the very, very only one input on economics, and I've shared it here. associated with this Greenco movement which you referred to, where the arithmetic of Greenco is just not green building, it's a green achar, the green conduct, where green products, green manufacturing process, product stewardship, supplier, water, everything is a composite index. So the message I want to give to you, we've been at it for last 10, 12 years. 300 companies data that we put together of the companies which are rated gold, platinum. We just picked up platinum. 300 companies over the years had invested 2,600 crores for solar and water and recycling and supply chain and everything. After investing 2,600 crores, audited figures, they're getting 2,800 crores per year as of flowing to the bottom line. So what are we talking about? We're talking about these guys all said, hum green hai, hum achhe insaan hai, we are good society and all that. And what they are, you realize that it's a payback period of 10 months. It's unbelievable how remarkable the green journey gives you the green bucks. And it's proven in CII, and we've got this public thing, etc. It's phenomenal. And so I think this mein koi ehsan nahi kar rahe hain, koi, I mean, we are not being martyrs. We are stupid if you're not doing this. And that's the way I want to sum up, is the arithmetic is too strong, and each one of you, and I'm not even selling CII or Greenco. I've got 1,200 companies which are in various stages of Greenco thing. Phenomenal stories. And the biggest driver there for you, every Greenco company, we have suggested to them that they go to their vendors. So every platinum ko bola teen supplier ko lao, gold ko bola do ko leke aao. So they're doing it, this multiplier effect is happening. So I think this whole sustainability, green as far as the environment is concerned, is a self-fulfilling. You feel you don't have to worry about compliance. Number two, you feel good that you're doing something nice for the environment. Three, your CFO tells you you're doing good for the company also. So what more do you want? I mean, normally you buy one, get one free. Here you buy one and get 4 free, 3 free. So it's a very good deal. So now, friends, I'm just 10 more minutes to what I had promised. We have a choice of some more questions, or we have a choice of taking the questions from the audience. Oh, okay. So why don't you ask questions? I know you're all end of the day. Feel free. My panelists will be able to answer any of the things. Floor is yours. And so when we close, will depend on you now. Okay? It's all yours. Yeah, please, because you're the boss.
Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 suppliers. That is something what we have been discussing, but that's separate.
What we started with the awareness of sustainability, that we start with that. And then we are recommending supplier, or we are prioritizing the supplier who has in a green, they are in the green supply chain. We are emphasizing them to use the maximum the solar and other renewable energy. And those who are using, we are recognizing them in the different forum. Yes, you are we got the green initiative, green supply chain initiative awards for the year. And then these suppliers are the strategic sources what we identified. These are the supply long-term sources we are identified. We say that this is our journey towards sustainability, and we want you to be partner with the journey for a longer. And then they come, we train them, we support them, we help them. And like there is engagement with them is a challenge for sure. Initially they are not been so keen to join this, but if they see the benefits, they definitely want to join, and everybody want their business to be sustained. Yeah. So that for that sustainability of business, sustainability to our together business, they always come forward and they help it. Yeah, they are the preferred supplier, and there is a strategic long-term sources. We said these are the compliance, not yet mandatory, but will be mandatory soon. That was our commitment to the supplier. So they are now started engaging with us. Yeah.
So for the Kirloskar group, earlier when the business itself was built, I think there was a very keen focus on the local supply chain. So if you see, typically the 80% suppliers are from certain radius for all the plants. However, like Forbes Marshall, we are we are taking baby steps to build the journey of sustainability trainings for the supply chain, and we will be embarking on it soon.
So I think this is very interesting question because automobile is close to 1/3 of the emission. And as a supplier to OEM, we are responsible to bring down our emissions, and so is our supply chain. And Umicore supply chain is a bit mixed. One is local MSMEs and global in metal, which is coming from mines. So it becomes quite challenging to manage. So our goal is net zero by 2035, and this is scope 1, scope 2. So what we are looking at is, of course, enrolling our MSMEs, and of course, with MCCI, I think there is a drive. So I think that we will leverage. So we want to first, with our sustainability framework, procurement framework, we want to first make them aware what we want to do by 2035. And then we are onboarding them, that's number one. And this is also happening with global mines and mineral companies who are processing our materials to supply for chemical processing with us. So I think it both ways. Having said so, the last important point is we are also driving towards the scope 3, which is the sustainability in the supply chain. So how we are transporting with better packaging, how we are also using digital and AI, which is the fashion word now, to how to get the container filled up. What containers can come and when are the shipment available, because it's a global shipments to India. So that is being used. And thirdly, how can we use an LNG truck? Can we use a H2 ice truck? Can we use stores our supplies? So I think it's always going there. And what is missing is the MSME supply chain people. And I think you talked about this and you talked about it. So this will more happen as an industry coordinated effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a medium scale company, and most of my suppliers are tiny. Some of them are big guys like this guy, but it's difficult to recruit these smaller companies to implement sustainability. So we package it a different way. We are auto component suppliers. The margins are very thin, and all my suppliers keep cribbing, sir, there's kuch bachta nahi hai, our costs are going up, how do we do it? So we package it as a cost reduction program. And what we like to do is we share whatever improvements we've done in our processes, and we get the sustainability angle also done. We help them improve their margins. It's a win-win for both. We don't pull out whatever improvements they've done, but we help them become more efficient.
Yeah, good evening, myself Chandrasekhar. Typical CA norms which talk about when you talk about financing for renewable projects is 70-30. This is first is a comment. If you really do, if you have a very good rating and if you do a renewable energy project with 10 to 15% equity and balance 85% debt, your NPV on day one in terms of what is your investment into equity as compared to that, what is your NPV on of the cash flows, it is actually 200 or 300%. That is the first comment. Second thing is scope 3. People talk about scope 3 being very challenging, but scope 3 from a renewable perspective, if we really come out with some very good investment models, SPV with some contribution from the parent company or, tier 1 company or an OEM or whatever, I think those models can be very, very sustainable. And third thing, would like to have comments about from all of you in terms of, the investment in R&D, which is so critical for making your businesses, process and products and services being green. What is the investment each one is doing from R&D perspective?
I will say that not about the investment, but walk the talk. If I tell the supplier you use the sustainability, and whether he said what you are doing in the sustainability in your factory. So that investments and the special proposals and special can say budgets for sustainability drives has been initiated. Not at the end of percentage, I'm not able to tell exactly, but there is a lot of awareness from the board to all the level of the organization. Yes, yeah. So probably it is a 2% each company has to go for a sustainability budget. Like we also trying to get it for that. But what we said that the small things what we started, the internal movement of the metal was on the diesel forklift. That we changed to AGVs on the automated guided vehicles. That is being also driverless now. We have just make a prototype and it is on driverless. From one point to other point it is being just AGVs we have implemented. That is giving the impact of both. That budget's also getting sanctioned if we come with the proposal well. That is getting sanctioned in the sustainability initiatives.
Yeah, I think very interesting perspective. So we are a circular material technology. So I think technology is at the core and R&D is really, really at the center of that core, okay? So Umicore globally is a $4 billion euro company. I'm just talking of the value addition. I'm not talking of metal, otherwise we'll become an 18 billion euro company. We are spending 6.5% of our turnover to the R&D, and R&D for new technology for cleaner mobility. We are talking of battery materials for electric cars. We are talking of hydrogen catalysis, that kind of material, and recycling. So as I said in my previous remarks that it's recycling. So we recycle the e-waste, and I'm talking of this waste which has a battery as well as the circuit board which has the precious metals like gold, silver, platinum, and we recover. If you see today the e-waste, I mean if I talk of a mobile phone which is a supercomputer, is becoming smaller, complex, doing multiple things, which means that one chip does all. And to recycle that, you require a technology of what we have to the next level. And that's something which we are working on, and that's where the R&D spends are happening. And rightly so, this will drive sustainability.
Yeah, just sorry, one thing to add. Yeah, you will have the numbers in all the BRSR where the R&D spends are going. But from the group's angle, I'm saying there has been increased spend on product development. And when we say R&D, it is not just the money, it is also developing the local talent. Not hiring engineers from outside, but developing engineers which come from our ecosystem. So Kirloskar oil engines, that way, as I had said, they're talking about hydrogen blend gensets. Another company which is not listed, we have Kirloskar chillers who makes industrial chillers. They were the first company to make the HFO chillers. Instead of using HFC, it was HFO, which is more sustainable and has less global warming potential. So R&D is, as a percentage of revenue or as a percentage of your bottom line, is going up because of the need of customer of having more green products, as well as it is also about businesses developing a local talent, as well as it is developing the economy per se. So that way we believe that it's not just some money, but also the whole ecosystem where everybody benefits.
I'll give you a different perspective. In our company, when we started our sustainability journey, it was pretty much around COVID, where financial stress was there across all organizations. So we didn't have a budget per se, but whatever savings we got in the first year, that was later on invested in the projects later on. And when we finally run out of ideas on how to reduce our direct carbon emissions, now we're investing it into solar rooftops and other things. So it's a self-sustaining exercise.
So thank you so much for the panel for those insights. My question is specific to Mayura ji. You did mention about using biodiversity parks within your real estate venture now. I was wondering, what is it that you're planning to seek in these biodiversity parks? Primarily because you did mention about carbon sequestration. And probably if you could also throw some light on what do you think about biodiversity credits as well. Thank you so much.
So biodiversity is not for the real estate project, but for the whole group. Even within the premises, factory premises, this 30% green coverage mandate. So the easiest way to go for carbon offset is to go for a tree which offsets the best. So that will end up in monoculture. And monoculture is something that as a group philosophy we want to avoid, because then there is a soil deterioration happening. There is also adverse effect on the insects and the animals and the birds that they come on. So we, though it's a slow process, we are particularly focusing on native plants. We do very extensive study of the location, the endangered species, be it trees or animals, and the plantation plan is based on the local native trees only. If you see, if you go for some other trees, the green coverage actually grows up much faster, but even though this is a slower process, this is our approach. So this is the carbon sequestration potential from these biodiversity plants for Schedule 1 species or Schedule 2 species are much more, I would say, attractive than just going for monoculture. And then when I talked about carbon economy, once you have offsetted using the biodiversity park within our premises, next option will be for the residual carbon will be maybe investing in a wetland or having a small land, and just then you don't have to do much. You just have to protect the forest and just do nothing. Let nature take its own course. We don't want to interfere in the nature's way. That's our focus.
Thank you so much.
You get green credits also for this.
So good evening everyone. This is Dr. Shubham Joshi from Vision Kalmangal. So being an academician, my question is like from every panelist and from the audience also. Like being an academician, how we would like to prepare our students? Just because sustainability in India is, we can say, around a decade, we can say old issue, we can say debate topic earlier and all, but still many of the colleges are not prepared or universities are not prepared in terms of infrastructure. This is the first question. Second is like in what our students and how this can.
I'll take the liberty of answering from CII, IGBC and Green Business Center, along with AICT and the Department of Higher Education across the country for all courses of engineering, architecture, town planning. This whole concept of green environment, not just green building. Because you can make a green building and do all the red things inside. It doesn't make you green. So this has been semester course-wise have been amended, are being implemented. The challenge is the practical knowledge of those faculty to teach that, but that's true for everything in academia. So answer to your question is being done. In fact, we even went one step further ki ye jo, this thought process has to start in 11th, 12th, not even in the engineering. So we're trying to work with the things, but again, this school education is a state subject, not a central subject. AICT takes care of all India for technical education. So we'll be moving towards that, but you're absolutely right. This, as I keep saying, hamari generation ne to gadbad kar di, but let the next generation at least be sane. Let them be more sane, and they are. Symbiosis, for example, here has runs its courses for a lot of things, making people sensitive to environment. Not just saying कि अच्छा आंदोलन करना है, activist नहीं बनना है, but to in their courses being so. So your point is valid, but it's a long journey. Syllabus NEP talks about it, new education policy. So it's being done, and I think it's people like Mayura and they, if they go to these take guest lectures in colleges, they'll make world of a difference because they say हम कर रहे हैं. We're not just giving you teaching. So that is an engagement which I think when industry goes, that's what we need to do. This is a collective thing.
So I just would like to mention in a few 2 points only. Recently, like AICT recognized Vishwakarma Group first in Maharashtra for establishing the Center of Excellence for the Sustainability Development. So this is one of the achievements, just because we have done some of the activities and we have presented in this way. Sorry? VIT, yes. Yes. Second thing, like some of our students and faculties are actually working on the National Hydrogenation Mission project. So definitely it can be helpful to the industries, those who are working on the same domain, and then likewise for the upcoming sustainable technologies. So if we can get some input on this so that we can accommodate in syllabus.
If I could just take doing it on an all India basis is a long haul, but I've always said Pune is a very healthy community. There are industries, there are academic institutions, there are research establishments, there are things. We can at least develop this fraternity amongst us, and Maratha Chamber is the best platform where such things can be done. You're absolutely right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.